Welcome to Sell Us Your Business, the segment where we have frank discussions with franchisors about their business opportunities, what makes them unique, and why you should invest. Today, we have a special guest from Simply Helping, a business that focuses on NDIS care. Welcome, Mr. Paul Godwin.
Thank you for having me, and it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So we're a premium in-home support service. So we focus on our speciality, our expertise on actually helping those that live in their own home to help them with their quality of life. So supports can vary dramatically from house cleaning, simple tasks like home duties, but it can also extend to personal care, to respite care, companion, transportation, and so forth. So it's all about quality of the individual and what supports we can provide to assist them with it. Absolutely. I mean, it's proven without doubt that those that live at home longer, live longer, but also from the disability space as well, whereby they're very comfortable in their own surround, and therefore they have to be comfortable with the support worker that comes and supports them in their home. So it's all about home. It's a very highly regulated industry, and it's going to become more so as we move forward, which is something we actually want. We absolutely welcome that extra compliance factors. The reality is simply this, is that Simply Helping's been around for 26 years. We are a mature organisation, so operationally we're also very mature. We know what we know, and we also know how to deliver premium quality supports and help business owners crystallise a nice income as a consequence of that. So I'd say a unique value proposition is that maturity and the mature systems to support them in there. I think again, it's because of that size and magnitude. They hear about us, they see us on TV, they hear about us on the radio. But also, we always encourage all of our clients to engage with us. There's feedback. There is the mobile number of the owner of the business is available so that people can actually feel like they're part of the exercise rather than just receiving somebody knocking on their door to do some task. They actually become involved. We find more and more the families become very interested and engaged on the support of their loved one. We embrace that as well. Look, the franchisee is the business owner, obviously, but more importantly, they're accountable for the service delivery. So we're looking for people that will actually take on that accountability and responsibility. And that goes on three different areas. That goes to the actual well-being of the individual that we're supporting, but also the workforce that they actually manage, and also protecting the business. So what they call the old risk mitigation. I mean, we are dealing with vulnerable people in a very complex environment, and therefore a franchisee really needs to embrace that and drive the business for that quality aspect. Look, it comes down to the national office. I mean, we are a very much proactive, hands-on office. We have a quality and compliance manager that's specifically dealing with the industry itself and its governance. We also have a service development manager now, operations manager. We have IT experts dealing with technologies. So these folks, the national office, are proactively and reactively, where appropriate, supporting the franchisee with any complexity that may be coming on board, such as an incident that may occur, or there might be some change in the pay structures and so forth. So we really always expanding our systems, automating them where possible, but also educating where possible as well. For me, and for Simply Helping ideology, it's about the why. And I know it's a very old cliche, but you have to be an individual that cares, an individual that wants to help the community, but also wants to run a very compliant and proactive business. Obviously, there are a lot of it can be a very confronting environment at times. But again, we're dealing with vulnerable people. But I have found that a franchisee that has the heart, cares about the person, but also cares about their business and their workers. As far as the business acumen is concerned, that's where the national office comes in to support them through that growth phase. So the initial fee is $150,000. And the reason for that is because we've got very mature systems. We have a very strenuous IT infrastructure that supports an actual new business owner to move forward. Then on top of that, we ask for 6% of gross earnings. That's what you invoice to clients as our franchise fee. That actually funds the national office as well as a local licensing for a lot of the technologies utilised. And as with every other franchise, we ask for a 2.5% contribution to what they call the National Marketing Fund. That is a pool of money which finances television advertising, radio advertising, and the constant building of collateral that they can use to attract new clientele. As far as seed capital is concerned, we usually recommend between 25 and 50,000. And the reason being is because you've got support workers, particularly at the initial stages of business, we've got to pay them their wage, and obviously you've got to collect the monies of the invoice. So 25 to 50K is usually what we recommend. In my experience, nobody's had to use that sort of funds. We are very conservative in a lot of ways. There is a very strenuous induction program. That induction program actually goes on for 6 months. It's a combination of tuition, face-to-face as well as remote, and also a number of what I call touch points or toolbox meetings twice a week for the first 3 months, whereby it's a one-on-one conversation about what they're doing for this week for their business growth, how can we help, is there any particular knowledge we would need to repeat, and so forth. And subsequent to that, I'm sort of like their silent business partner. So for the first 5 employees that they recruit, as well as the first 5 clients that they actually engage, I work with them as a workshop to make sure they do it the appropriate. And because our territories are so vast, there is great opportunity for what we call initially low-hanging fruit. There's always a demand for our services, both in the disability and aged care sector. But also there's a lot of education that's needed to be communicated, such as the awards that we use for pay our staff, such as the actual rules and quality and indicators that the NDIS and the aged care sector require. So it's a learning curve. So we ask our new franchisees to take it a bit slower, understand what you need to know, and then from there, evolve and grow. Look, it's more of an education piece. I mean, obviously, we want all of our franchisees, new and existing, to be approved aged care providers and approved NDIS providers. The NDIS approval process, we can certainly fast track that to some degree. We have the policies that have been audited so many times, they're compliant. And in regards to the aged care, obviously, as the moratorium is lifted on July the 1st this year, for what they call support at home, we'll be ready with our policy structure and framework and workflows to be able to pass that particular licensing as well. In the interim, franchisees can actually trade in what we call the brokerage model, as well as they can leverage off the actual registrations of our national office as well. With the aged care and NDIS, and our core focus is the actual disability space. Even though there are many providers out there in the NDIS space, they are very much small, I suppose, sole traders. Their mother and father, their mother and daughter running a business. We're scale. We're not looking for franchisees that only want to do, say, $1 million a year turnover. We want the $5 to $6 million, have that bravery. So as far as supply and demand, there is too much demand. Okay. And of course, if you deliver premium services, then obviously word of mouth gets around and you get a lot of business, both in NDIS and in the aged care sector. Okay, so in regards to the support workers, obviously we heavily scrutinise any applicant, so what they call worker screening. So they have to have all the appropriate checks in place. We do have software in place that supports them. So we help them interview, we help them onboard them, and educate them onto their training requirements. In regards to clients, it's a matter of understanding the needs of that individual. So there's a lot of knowledge that can be imparted in how we interview the client, what their needs are, what their goals and values are, for argument's sake, so that when they're delivering supports from the interim, they have an understanding of what they need to do and how they need to do it. That's pretty much where the hands-on support. So within the purchase price, it includes all the licensing for our client management system, as well as all the licensing for the accounting software that we utilise. The only out-of-pocket or additional expense that a franchisee will is the learning management system. So that will cost them about $40 a year. So it's not horrific. Everything else is supplied in that initial purchase fee. And they are systems that we mandate, they have to be utilised, and they all interconnect. So it works quite nicely and seamlessly. No, what we usually do is we get the franchisee to build up their asset. Okay, so the NDIS credential and the aged care credential is based on their ABN, or their Australian business number. Therefore, we actually get them to have that attached to their license. So therefore, on resell, at some stage, they may want to exit the system. When they sell that business, it has all of the licensing attached to it. It's not reliant on a national office to supplement. That's a very powerful situation. So if you're selling a business that is an approved aged care provider or an approved NDIS provider, it has more value than that doesn't. So that's why we built it up. There are good days and there are bad days, okay? There's no doubt there is a lot of job satisfaction and a lot of business satisfaction from realising the opportunity for individuals, okay, enabling them to live a more fulfilling life. I always say that our clients are people with added complexity. And if we can simplify that complexity for them, it is very, very, I suppose, gratifying. The other side of it too is that you're actually engaging a workforce. You're enabling them to put bread and butter on their tables with a very secure as well as well-trained framework or platform. So you're not just helping individuals as clients, you're also helping your workforce to enable them to pursue a career in our industry of where there's opportunity for growth for themselves as well. It's hard to sort of give you an example other than scenarios. A lot of people in both the disability space and the aged care space have an issue with socialisation. Often we enable those individuals, take them to the football, take them for a coffee, take them to go see a parent or a relative that historically they haven't been able to do. Or it might be that they wish to have what I call bucket lists that they can enable within reason. It's also a lot of these folks don't have a lot of people visiting. So there is definitely companionship part to that as well. I know with my mother, who's well in her 80s, she receives supports every day and she looks forward to those support workers coming in, sharing a cup of tea, or at least doing tasks that may be frustrating them. I mean, we do a lot of things called pet sitting and pet walking, whereby there are individuals that have regrets that they own an animal, but they can't take them for a walk. So we take them for a walk and we enable them or teach them how to walk their own animal as well. And the sheer feeling that they get from that, the value they have, it's palpable. It really is. I love what I do and I love what we do as a collective company. That is a very hard question to answer because I don't know whether you want gold leaf on all your pencils and pens. I don't know how shrewd you're going to be in your operational expense. There is one metric that you can go by. Gross profit margin is 34%. How you deal with that 34% from an operational standpoint comes down to your efficiency, your operational, I suppose, acumen in regards to what their bottom line is going to look like. But one of the things that the National Office does do is give you a reporting back to let you know how you're going compared to the other franchises. So you might be a little bit unders or a little bit overs, or there might be an investment you're making, you're prepared to take a lower margin for a shorter period of time. Typically, ROI is around the 18-month mark to 2 years, depending on how efficient you are on your operational expense. And that's your discretion. We don't mandate what you have to do. We have some franchisees that have a workforce in the hundreds of support workers. We have other franchisees that are just starting, but they might only have 10 support workers. Again, the right franchisee for us is somebody who's brave, who's driven, and is prepared to see the bigger picture. That's why we've created such large territories, and typically a territory will have 350 to 400,000 population. Predictably, 10% of that population will have a disability. Typically 12 to 12.5% will be over 65 years of age. Therefore, you have a large cohort that you can actually crystallise good business and, as I said, develop a very large workforce. We know what, we know how, but we cannot teach you the why. It's all about the why. The franchisee needs to drive. They need to be brave. They need to be able to identify an opportunity and take it with both hands. They need to be communicative. They need to be a strong networker. If they had those soft skills, we know what we need to do. We know how to manage a client effectively and efficiently. We know how to be compliant, but I can't teach somebody to be social. I can't teach somebody to be brave. They need to bring that for themselves. Those that are brave are always successful within the Simply Helping franchise model, and I can prove time and time again. And that model is a 3-tier model, i.e. the first franchise agreements for the first 5 years. It's only a legal cost to refresh that or renew that for another 5 years, and the same again for another 5 years. So you can have a 5-year relationship or a 15-year relationship with us, depending on you. Now, we've got a very good track record of franchisees renewing for the second and third iteration, which is a brilliant sign. Be open to education, to not be presumptuous that you know everything about everything, but also to identify new opportunity. There are a lot of supports that are offered by both the agencies and the aged care sector that are more about quality of life. Sometimes, example being one of our franchisees in New South Wales identified the opportunity whereby he taught his whole workforce how to complete basic Auslan so they could communicate with those folks that are deaf. Now that was a unique value prop for him. So therefore he went straight to that particular advocacy body and said, well, my staff are now trained specifically to communicate in Auslan. Is there anybody we can help? That's what I mean by the bravery. Identifying an opportunity, understanding what we need to do to become expert in that area, and then applying it to the right people. That's what I mean by brave.